Hello and welcome to a new video. In this video I made a tier list for leveling together with my mage Shjelde to show you the best leveling classes in upcoming Classic Server Project Epoch. If we talk about best classes, what do we mean with this? Project Epoch will be a complete new experience to level up to level 60 with new dungeons and quests. Because of this, we don't want to focus on min-maxing level guides here. We will talk about the classes themselves and their changes and how this will affect solo leveling and dungeons. Since there are so many factors which define what makes a class good and bad, we won't go into every aspect of the classes. We won't talk about professions here, for example. Our categories are defining which makes a class good. Those are how effective are they on questing, how effective are they on parties and dungeons, and how fun are they to play while playing solo. So let's dive in.
Shall we start?
Okay, let's start. Do you want to start, Shjelde?
Yeah. Let's start with Hunter. I say that's for solo content, the S tier.
I have to say on Hunter, you started with the class I have zero knowledge about. This is your area.
Yeah, but just having pet, being able to have the pet tank, and with all the changes they've made in here, one of the bigger or best changes for leveling is that they are running on, TBC foundation. So you'll probably, the mint pet will not be something you need to channel anymore. It'll be something that you just press and then you start shooting them up. So you can keep yourself going constantly if you just auto-shooting, maybe using one spell here and there, but just auto-shooting your way and constantly having your pet tank. And it can probably tank several mobs, especially now that pets scale with your stats. Overall, just pet is stronger.
So it's a hot now?
It's a hot
for the
now,
pet
yeah.
too.
I think so, yeah.
That's really strong.
Yeah, it is. It is. So I'd probably, and when it comes to parties and dungeons, I say they can pets, especially if you get a pet with Screech. I've even in Classic, I've tanked Scarlet Monastery up until Scarlet Monastery. Beyond Scarlet Monastery, it starts to become a little bit iffy. But even in Scarlet Monastery, if you get a pet with Screech, that's either an owl or a carrion bird. The Screech effect that the pet has, it's an AoE debuff that creates a lot of threat. Pet should be able to tank up to around 3, maybe even 4 mobs. At least it did in Classic. I could tank up until Scarlet Monastery and even tank, armory and stuff without any problems. Just have the healer heal the pet and put buffs, all the buffs on the pet, and he will hold aggro. He'd sometimes even take aggro from, because of you still have the growl. So on single target, he'll take aggro from the warrior. And the AoE aggro, so long as people aren't hitting the other mobs and just focusing on the mob that the pet is focusing on, he'll keep the aggro from the aggro from the other mobs as well. But I'm not sure if it applies here on Project Epoch, of course. We have to preface that this is all just speculation because we haven't tried it or tested it, or we only got to level 7 in the stress test, and that's it.
It will also be interesting with the new pet types, right? You can get completely new pets now.
Yeah, they hinted at, and we don't know what pets and what abilities they'll have. Maybe they are completely custom. Another thing, we're getting the talent system for the pets. We're getting that talent system from Wrath of the Lich King.
Ooh, that's
so
strong.
Yeah, that's very strong. And they did some custom changes to that, because that works with pets that get to level 80. But your pets don't get to level 80, so they probably adjusted the talents as well. So we don't really know what we're getting, but I think it's gonna get quite strong. Even for something like dungeons, I think we are gonna see creative hunters come up with some really creative use cases for either soloing things or dungeon tanks and stuff.
I'm really interested how balanced the pets will be. I mean, I come from Season of Discovery, and there in the first phases, pets were completely broken. And it's kind of hard to really balance them out, I think. I think it's a coding thing, I'm not sure about this, but with complete customized changes to the pet class, this could also happen on Project Epoch. So we have to see if there will be some menaces running around and just killing people.
Yeah.
Maybe the devs are doing a good job, I hope so, but this could also be something which makes Hunter really broken at the beginning.
Yeah, definitely. There could be some broken stuff, like hopefully not the same as the Scorpion in what was it, the second phase or first phase of Season of Discovery. It was completely one-shotting people in PvP. It was crazy. But hopefully they have done a little bit better job than Blizzard when it comes to locating these bugs.
We have to see.
And
I agree with S tier for Hunter on leveling here, because there is a reason why every gold farmer is playing a Hunter to make gold to solo farm content. The class is really, really good on leveling. We know that like every pet classes. So with those changes you told me about, I can only agree. I think Hunter will be an absolute S tier for leveling.
Yeah, I think so, for sure. What else is there to say? Of course, it's going to be Beast Mastery. Survival, haven't seen much changes. Some slight changes in marksmanship, but nothing that's really going to change anything. There was an ability in, like you had the ability in Wrath to AoE farm, just like Mages. Once Wrath came, I did a short guide I have it on my YouTube channel, on how to AoE farm as a hunter, but you needed 2 TBC set items. Rift Stalker, you needed the 2 set bonus. But what it does is it would give your pet health back from the damage you did. So the more mobs you pulled in with your pet, then you just put down, volley. The raining arrows down from the sky, and it would heal your pet the more mobs that were in it. So it was completely broken. You could pull like 30-50 mobs and then just put the volley down. And since there were no cooldown in Wrath, but I think there is a cooldown in here, but in Wrath Leslie there were no cooldown, so it was quite broken leveling a hunter with the 2 set tier bonus from TBC, the Rift Dogger set.
Since it's TBC here, is there a dead zone for melee and range for
No,
hunters?
it's been removed. They've removed the dead zone, so that's really, really nice. And they specifically said they implemented something like when you go too close, you automatically start using your melee abilities, and once you gain distance, you automatically start using your ranged weapon. Basically, just like later expansions.
Cool. So strong hunters seem to be really, really strong.
Yeah, I really like. They made a mix of TBC and some Wrath changes, and I think the thing where you start doing your auto attacks, that's a Wrath change. So yeah, strong start.
I never played Hunter.
No, you should. It's really fun.
It's not my class. I have to trust you on what you say here.
Well, it's all speculation. You never know. Like something could come on that is even more broken, but with the changes and all these things, I think they're going to be strong. Let's move on to Mage. I've never really played Mage.
Yeah, same for me. I think we are both no Mage experts.
Sadly. I'm not sure if this is correct, but I think there was some point in time where a change was made. I think it was in TBC. The amount of damage your Blizzard does in vanilla is not based on how many mobs there is. It'll do the same exact damage if there's 1 mob or if there's 10 mobs. But I do think that in some point they changed that so that whenever there's 10 mobs, the damage the Blizzard will do will be spread out on all 10 mobs. So it'll be a lot less per mob. And if they have that change in, I gotta put Mages in something like C or B tier, because you'll be sitting and drinking between each mob, likely, and it's gonna be a lot, like you won't have this opportunity to AoE farm. Probably at least not in the same effect. Maybe Arcane, maybe with Arcane Explosion and Fire, what's it called?
The Fire Nova thingy, I know what you mean, the blast, Fire Burst, Flame Burst, something like this.
Something like that, Maybe that could be enough to wipe groups of mobs. So I'm really unsure on this one. What do you think?
Yeah, I had the same thinking as you do, because of course mages are really, really strong class for leveling when they can do AoE farm. I mean, you probably want to go Frost if you want to AoE farm, because you want to do that Blizzard thing where you just pull a lot of mobs together and just grind them down. The question is this possible on Epoch? I mean, if it's not possible, they are really way slower to level. I would also put them on B if they are AoE cap. If they are not, they are probably A tier, I would say.
Yeah.
But something else which is new on Project Epoch for mages, which is really cool, is the fact that they can not only conjure drinks and bread for themselves, so they are
weapons as well.
Exactly, they can also conjure weapons, and with this you basically always have a Abyss weapon with you. It has intellect, and you can also give this to your group. So let's say, for example, I'm playing a Paladin, my weapon broke because I died too often. My mage in the group can just give me a weapon. That's really cool. You don't have to interrupt your dungeon run with this. You can just go on. And that's a cool change. It's nothing game-breaking in my opinion, but it's just something cool they have now. And of course, you always want a mage in your group anyway for their water, right?
Yeah. So for group content, there's still some of the best. You got your sheep, you got your CC, the hard CC. You even got some control with Nova. Maybe you could do a couple of mages could do the dungeon cleaving thing that they did in Classic, where you just join Scarlet Monastery as 5 mages or 4 mages and a healer and just try to AoE spell cleave down groups of mobs. Maybe
but
that
do you want to do that on Project Epoch? Sorry if I interrupted you, but that's something we have to talk about, because do I really want to do min-maxing stuff? Do I really want to do dungeon farming with AoE groups just to get faster to level 60 on a new private
Hopefully
server
not.
where there's so much new content, you know what I mean? So much new to explore.
I
don't know if I want this.
That would be the most boring way, but for some people, they just want to see who can get to 60 first. And what class is the best to get to 60 first. I think that for some people that's the goal, but I agree with you for sure. Like, it's not my goal. I want to experience all the stuff that the server has to offer, for sure.
I mean, we also have to think about for a later stage, maybe if you have already done your first route to level 60 with the main character, then you do an alt. Okay, I can understand it that way. Yeah, maybe
I saw a guy, Kato, something. He sent me a link of, he had an interview with the founder, and they have completely...
Katotis is the founder, right?
Katotis is the founder, but a guy on Discord, he sent me a link to an interview he recently did, talking with the founder about the limitation for leveling. They've implemented some limitations when it comes to... In Turtle WoW, you can create a character, and then on a second account, you can create another character, and you can pretty much just multi-box with those two. Put your low-level one on follow, while you tag with the low-level one, and then you clean it out, the mobs, with your high-level one. And you get a ton of...
I have done that before.
And that's allowed. The Turtle WoW developers and I'm talking with the game masters, and my friend has as well, to just make sure that that's allowed. And that is allowed. But they're not allowing that here. And they're also limiting your ability to do so. So even if they don't detect it, it's according to the founder, it's impossible to mob tag effectively in here. So,
that's good. That's a good change.
It is.
It's good for the game.
I think so too, yeah. It brings more immersion to the game as well. And they're just completely limiting that in here. So
cool. It also forces to do content from lower levels for players who already have someone with level 60. So you have to play with other people in dungeons. You have to do the lower dungeons again, and that's cool. That's helping to keep the game alive.
Yeah, it is. Well, we need to place our mage. We need to place our mage somewhere. And where do we land? I'm not sure about the frost, the blizzard thing. I'm not sure if there's any limitation or the AoE cave if that's a thing. Maybe it's not. So maybe we should put him on A tier.
I mean, let's put it on A. We think it's not capped because we don't know it. Maybe write us in the comments down below if you are a mage player and you know more about the class, if it's AoE capped or not. That would be great for us. So for now, we think it's not, and we put mage on A, right?
Yeah, I think so. And even just one more thing I need to add. Because what's the argument for not putting him on S tier? And in my opinion, it is that once the server launches, a lot of areas, like especially known AoE farming areas, if there is such a thing on Epoch, because maybe they changed all this AoE areas, but I'm guessing there still are some. And first of all, you need to find them. Second of all, if mob abilities have been changed, you don't know if mob that was usually just a melee mob now is a caster, and then that's going to limit your ability to AoE farm significantly. And another thing is just the amount of mages, or in general people questing and leveling in these low level areas, that's going to contest your AoE grinding areas. So it's going to be really hard to get anywhere with AoE grinding, even if the AoE cap is not in place.
Yeah, I agree. I can also add something else to it, because I think there is just one more class which is even better than Mage, which we come later on, which is reserved for S tier. That's one point.
Yeah.
And the other point is that it's just not fun to do AoE farm. I think leveling should be fun. And it's not fun to just simply grind mobs all the time. So that's something, even if it's effective, that's something which leads me to not put them in S tier.
Yeah. But I agree with you. we're not just looking, at effectiveness purely out of how fast you can get. You're also looking into how are they while questing and in dungeons and for solo content. So for questing and dungeons, I think they're great. I think they're one of the most wanted classes, especially for dungeons and stuff.
Yeah, I agree.
All right. Moving on then to one of your favorite classes, if not the favorite class, Paladin.
Yeah. Not only my favorite class, also the favorite class of probably half of the population of Project Epoch, what I saw on the stress test.
Gotta be a lot of undead paladins, I'm guessing.
Exactly. And I'm one of them.
Yeah.
I mean, I have to play Undead Paladin. It's something which we never got on Season of Discovery, and I'm a Paladin main since 2004, so I have to play this class. And
awesome.
I have to say something which might not make the population of Project Epoch happy, because I don't think Paladin is a great class to level with.
No.
You have different choices to level as a Paladin. You can go as a Retribution Paladin, you can go as a Protection Paladin, you can even level as a Holy Paladin on Project Epoch. You're really flexible about it, so you have to choose what kind of way you choose for leveling. I always leveled as a Retribution Paladin. I think it's a good balanced way to level out, so you can always do dungeons, you can solo every content you want to with all your cooldowns up, so that's really cool. But on the other hand, it's slower. It's really slow. Yeah. If you choose to level as a Protection Paladin, you have to wait up to level 20 to get Consecration, which is default on Project Epoch now. On level 30, you get Seed of Light, which is helping really much for AoE farming. Holy Shield at level 35, and Seed of Wisdom at level 38. So if you got this whole kit together, you can basically do dungeon farming all day, and you never have to stop it. You can level up to level 60 just by spamming dungeons, which is really effective, together with mages, for example. But as I said before, for the mage class, is this something you want to do? I say no. So it's not the way I want to level on Project Epoch. What's a bit cooler way is to level as a Holy Paladin on Project Epoch, because you have improved Seed of Righteousness now, which is a talent which is working on Project Epoch. This never worked before on the other iterations of World of Warcraft. And with this, you have to
I know
wait
that
to
it didn't scale correctly on older iterations, especially vanilla. I don't know about TVC, but you're right about vanilla. Seal of Righteousness didn't really. There wasn't the scaling component. It was awkward or something.
Yeah. It never scaled with spell power as it should, and now they fixed that. And this means you can use the seal to either seal twist if you want to do that together with Seal of Command, or with the other new seals. For example, with Vengeance, Seal of Righteousness, if you twist it in Seal of Vengeance, then you get 2 stacks of Seal of Vengeance through this twist. So you can stack up 5 times really fast, and this is a lot of damage. And you can do this as a Holy, and you just stack up scaling spell power gear. You can do it with a 2-hand, you can play it with a 1-hand, and you can level up all the way in the talent tree up to Holy Shock. So you're a really good healer for dungeons, and you do really good damage while playing solo. This could be a fun new way to play Paladin on Project Epoch. But you have to drink a lot, I think, so you have a lot of downtime in between. So sadly, leveling speed is not a strength of a Paladin. You can do everything you want, but it takes time. And because of this, I sadly have to put the Paladin on the B tier for leveling.
B tier, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
you can do everything you want, which is cool, but it takes time. And there are just other classes which are better at leveling, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I think I kind of agree with you, especially when it comes to Retribution and Holy. But you have to consider, when it comes to, you are a healer, you can be brought to the dungeons and be very wanted in dungeons. And you still, in Protection, have the opportunity, especially now with the changes to readout that procs on a chance on hit instead of a crit. Early on, you can start doing some, maybe even at level 30-ish, doing some AoE farming, and you're still you're still Protection, so you can get into dungeons easily.
Yeah, that's true, but that's the same thing with the Mage, why I won't put Mage on the S tier. I don't want to simply just AoE farm mobs, you know what I mean? Not on Project Epoch, not on this new server with new content. That's just boring in my opinion. Maybe as an alt, yeah, I can see it there. And then I would also put them maybe on the A tier, the Paladin, if I say I will do this min-max way of leveling, but not at the beginning of the server.
But then just talking about dungeons, you do have more options when it comes to, you can join as a healer, even if you're a tank spec or retribution spec, you're just swapping some intellect gear in, and you can still, especially at the lower level dungeons, and if you're tank spec, you can still join dungeons as tank. So I'd at least put them, either I'd take the mage down a notch, or I'd take up the paladin a notch when it comes to considering, you know, not only your effectiveness at leveling, but also questing and dungeons.
I mean, we can put them on maybe low A.
We can take the mage down a bit. That's also an option, you know.
That's also an option. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, and we can make this decision later on. Maybe I'm not quite sure how we want to handle this. We have a few more classes which we can talk about. One thing I want to add to the Paladin is you are really slow on leveling. Also, not because of your clear speed, but also because you walk really slow. As Retribution Paladin, you have Pursuit of Justice, which is a talent which gives you more move speed, but you have no active ability which increases your movement speed, so you travel a longer way than other classes. I mean, you have the cards on Project Epoch, which brings you from A to B, which is cool and is helping a class like Paladin for sure, but you walk slow, and it's the wheelchair class. This is also affecting your speed.
Yeah. One thing you mentioned, was it Consecration you mentioned in the Holy Tree, right?
Consecration is by default now.
Yeah, it is actually.
By level 20.
Yeah, because I just realized, I'm just looking at the talent and I just realized, oh, it's, you get it baseline.
Yeah. Nice. You can start as protection, you can start dungeon tanking as soon as you hit level 20 when you get Consecration, and you can do all the dungeons all the time. You don't have to do anything else from this point on. But that's not fun.
True. It could be more fun maybe for some people to do, you know, quests. But I do think like dungeoning is still quite fun. But I think I agree with you somewhat, especially when it comes to killing speed. It's gonna be slow, and it's gonna be slower than a mage at killing stuff for sure. Even with all the talent changes, much of what's good about Paladin gets unlocked at around level 44. That's at least where you can get Crusader Strike if you want to level as Retribution. I think they changed it in Project Epoch, so you don't get stuff at level 40, at least according to the talent calculator. You unlock your latest talent at 44 instead of 40.
Yeah, and keep in mind how you play before as a Paladin. You're only auto-attacking, even on Project Epoch. You can't seal twist up to, I don't know when you get the new seals right now, but I guess not before level 13. So your gameplay is auto-attacking.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's not fun. That's why they are also on the B tier for me. You need to get to certain thresholds to make them strong, and then they run away, for sure. But it takes a lot of investment. Keep in mind, we have normal experience rates here. It's slow leveling on Project Epoch.
Yeah, very true. Yeah, there aren't any leveling increases, right?
Nope.
So
I don't think so.
It's a vanilla style leveling.
Yeah.
Which would also only make sense because with all the new quests, if they want people to actually experience the new quests and all the custom content, they'd have to keep the leveling speed as it is.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's fine.
Yeah, there are some things you can do. Healing, you can easily get into groups, dungeons, elite quests together with people because you are a healer, you are a tank, but your kill speed is going to be slower. You're better off leveling with a body as a Paladin, even though we have all the changes.
I mean, if you got time, you can do all elite quests on your own as soon as you have your Divine Shield and your Lay on Hands up. Then you probably can kill every elite by your own if you know what you're doing. So you don't even have to find a group if you want to. That's also a big point for the Paladin, but it's slow.
Yeah, very slow, yeah. Sure. All right, moving on then to Priest.
Really interesting.
Yeah.
Because you can play as a Smite Priest on Project Epoch. And this means you can level as Holy. So with this, you can play basically everything solo, same as the Paladin, I think. But you have a lot of recasting stuff in the talent tree. This is really, really interesting in my opinion. It depends on how much damage the Holy Priest will do at the end, but it sounds like a really strong level build. And you are also a really strong healer for dungeons at the same time. So this is really, really interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, I heard about they did some not only TBC changes, because there already are TBC changes in place, of course, but they did some extra changes when it comes to Smite Priest. Am I right?
Yeah. They adjusted and customized the Holy Talent Tree for offensive abilities, which increasing the damage of Smite and Holy Fire and the stuff. And it also gives free casts after crits and stuff like this. So if this is working as intended, I'm not sure if it will, but if it's working as intended, then you go for crit, and then you crit a lot with your smites and get free casts, and you won't have mana problems because you can go into discipline with the mana regeneration talents, and in combination with this should work really good on paper at least.
I see. That's very interesting. So they are really opening up for a second DPS spec for priests.
Yeah.
And that being holy, right? Are you going how?
That's holy, yeah.
Are you doing a mix? Are you doing like half discipline and half holy? I don't know much about priest, to be honest, when it comes to smite priest.
I think so. I mean, I played Shadow Priest on Season of Discovery as my alt. I played it to level 60, and I know a bit about Shadow Priest, but Smite Priest is something I never tried before because it wasn't possible. I think there was some attempts at Turtle WoW, but they were never viable in my opinion.
Okay. Well, that opens up some opportunities for sure for Priest. Still, Priest is quite good still in dungeons, of course. Especially now, if they do more damage, they'll be considered more as a DPSer, but of course they are still a healer, so they can already always join both groups and dungeons easily.
Yeah. You will always want a Priest in your group.
But aren't you wanting, like in the beginning, just wanting through a lot of levels, or has this also changed, do you think?
I think you still want to wand as soon as possible, and you can also level as a discipline priest, which is this wanding spec, and you throw back damage with your shields and stuff like this, which is also a strong option and is basically the same as smite priest for leveling, because you can still heal in dungeon groups, and you do good solo. You don't have to find a group. You can probably also solo elite quests with this, so Priest is a really strong contender for leveling, in my opinion, overall.
Yeah. Are they killing mobs faster than a Paladin? They probably are, right?
Good question. I think so. It depends on the weapon of the Paladin, of course. If you play as Retribution Paladin and you just got your new weapon at level 20 from Dead Knights, then at this time you do more damage. But overall, I think Priest does more damage than Paladin during the whole road through 60.
What about once Paladin gets his Crusader Strike? Because it really depends on, according to like other classes, where we place the Priest.
I mean, when you get your Crusader Strike, you're obviously stronger. But you're always weapon depending as a Paladin for your level speed. Yeah. So if your weapon is outdated, you do really slow.
True. So where do we place our dear priests?
I think it's an A class for leveling, because you always have a dungeon group. You won't have any time waiting for groups to fill up as a heal if you want to. And you can do good solo content for yourself. And I think with the new Smite possibilities, this could also be really fun to play. It's only theory right now, but it sounds promising.
Okay. Let's leave it at A for now, and then we'll look back into this, because I'm still a little bit, you can tank. Tank is the most wanted thing in vanilla as a paladin. So I think that brings the paladin up a notch, maybe.
But you also got shaman tanks, you also got warrior tanks and druid tanks on Epoch.
I don't think most people will consider a shaman as a tank. I think you're right, it is possible. But I do think a lot of people wouldn't really invite a shaman as the tank for the group.
But didn't they also get support for tanking on Epoch?
Not anything more than what they had in vanilla. Really? They just reverted some things that were changed in TBC back to the vanilla state. So in vanilla, a special example is Rockbiter and the fit component to that, as far as I know, has been reverted back to its vanilla state. Is there anything that I'm missing?
Maybe I am wrong here, but I thought they got some adjustments in their talent tree for enhancement, but maybe I'm wrong here.
They did get the opportunity to two-hand enhancement, so they did some changes to make not only dual wielding but two-handed enhancement, especially late game, but also early on, way more viable.
Okay. Yeah, maybe I'm wrong here.
I'm not sure either, but I don't think there's been really enough support neither in the spellbook or in the talent tree. You can tank as a shaman for sure. You can tank up until, like, say, same as Hunter around Scarlet Monastery quite effectively. But I think it's just it's difficult to convince people that has been playing, TBC and Ref for years, and especially also later expansions. If they're going back, like I think a lot of people are still in the mindset of, well, Shaman, that's a healer, or he's a DPSer. He can't tank.
That's something I will never understand. If you play on a private server, which is Classic Plus, I don't understand why people are so focused on their old school rules. Because on Season of Discovery, this was cool because now you had Warlock tanks and Rogue tanks and stuff like this, and people were just open for it.
And it was officially supported as well. Like
true.
You could see that the devs definitely did a lot to try and make it viable. But when it comes to Hunter tanking in dungeons, I also fought a lot. I got rejected a ton from trying to tell people, well, I can tank it. I've done this like 20 times before your group, so I can definitely tank this dungeon with my pet. And people, they just don't want to touch it. They don't want to mess with it.
Shjelde, when I'm playing with you together, we do a dungeon and you tank with
absolutely. Absolutely. So I think it's gonna be a struggle as a shaman to get the group, unless you're forming the group, and some people might not even believe in it, and some people may leave. That happened to me as a hunter, but I also understand that hunter is also a little bit like, that's even more controversial tanking than a shaman. Shaman is probably a little bit more accepted as a tank.
Yeah, we talked a lot about the shaman tanking. Do we want to rank the shaman if we already talked so much about it?
Well, we should actually finish the shaman then, and then do the rogues, the rogue after. Yeah.
This video become really long already, so I have to cut it into 2 parts. In the second part, we will talk about the other classes like Shaman, Rogue, Druid and Warlock and Warrior. If you watched until the end, give me an epoch in the comments down below. Thank you very much for watching, and if you found this useful, consider to like and subscribe at my channel as well as Shjelde's channel for more World of Warcraft Project Epoch content.